So I'm trying to make some changes in my life. You know, I'm getting to the age now where I can't be quite as reckless as I used to be. You know, it's kind of time to ease up a little and recognize that my body is a mortal vessel. Kind of like the Titanic in my case. So first you know what, no, maybe not the Titanic. I mean, in a strange way, that's kind of self-aggrandizing. Maybe more like the Andrea Doria, yeah. So anyway, I needed to make some changes. So I started by, no, Andrea Doria is a girl's name, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't want anybody to get the wrong idea, right? I mean, you know, men have staked too much claim on things as it is, and it wouldn't be right to infringe on the rights of women to self-identify with a female shipwreck. Though I guess, you know, they're all she's, aren't they, ships, right? Why is that?
About the minnow.
No, yeah, that's possible. That's, shut up. Kind of makes you wonder, though, with all the ships being she's, you know, what sailors get up to on those long, lonely nights at sea. It's kind of disgusting when you think about it, you know. Anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. I apologize. So I've been trying to make some... What about the Edmund Fitzgerald? Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, at one time, yeah, that, you know, there was a point in my life where I could compare my physical state to an epic song by a renowned Canadian singer-songwriter, but those days are over. You know what would make a good good Gordon Lightfoot? You know, if they ever made a biopic out of his life? The guy from Breaking Bad, Bryan Cranston, because I was watching some tape of Gordon Lightfoot from the 70s, and I swear, if you put a curly wig and a beard on Bryan Cranston, it would look exactly the same, you know? Something to think about. Of course, it probably wouldn't be much of a biopic, though, would it? Because, you know, Gordon Lightfoot, you know, what kind of life has he had? I don't imagine pulling any sinks out of the wall or anything. I'm sure the big dramatic climax would be like he takes one too many Excedrin PMs and gets mad at his cat or something, you know? What was I talking about? Changes. I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyway, yeah, I'm getting off the point. I've been looking to make some changes in my life, you know? And, you know, I haven't been exactly feeling my best lately. I've been bouncing back the way I used to. And I asked a friend of mine who had gone through the same thing what he would advise me to do, and he told me to just eat better. Of course, it was kind of loud at the bar where I asked him that night, and I heard it as just eat butter. Yeah, you don't want to do that, trust me. But anyway, I was still committed to changing myself. So I decided Lusitania! Yes, that's it, the Lusitania. I mean, that's not so obscure that people don't know what I'm talking about, but it's not so well known that it, you know, like I'm trying to big up myself in some way. Yeah, Lusitania is perfect. What was I? Oh, changes. All right, so that didn't work out. So I decided to start exercising, you know, and I don't know. I mean, that didn't last too long at that. I mean, sure, I cast a few demons out of a few young girls, you know, but really wasn't as satisfying as I'd been led to believe, you know? I mean, see, what you don't realize is that you're not exactly dealing with Beelzebub every time, you know? I mean, most of the ones you're dealing with are just like minor demons and imps, you know? And it's not so much life-threatening to a 9-year-old girl as just makes them more irritating, you know? Hardly seems worth the effort, you know? So what was left, you know? Drugs? Well, maybe, but, you know, I wasn't sure whether I should start taking more or take less, so I kind of cast off that line of inquiry. HMS Victory. No, sorry. But I really figured, you know, I needed to do something major, you know, so I took a long, hard look at myself, and what I decided, I mean, the solution was obvious. I had to quit drinking, you know, and you never realize what something like that does to you, how it controls your life until it just hits you in the face, right? I mean, I think back on it, and I mean, I started young, real young now that I think about it, and by the time I hit 40, well, I mean, I guess I can admit to you now, I was doing it all the time, you know? I mean, first thing in the morning I'd have a drink, you know? Sometimes I'd sneak off in my break at work and have one or two, you know? I would, and I know, it pains me to admit, I'd be doing it while I was driving sometimes even. I mean, then I'd get home, I'd have one or two or more, you know, would keep going all night. Sometimes I'd even get up in the middle of the night to have a drink, you know. It was crazy. I just had to stop. You know, I couldn't do it anymore. And so I steeled myself. I used up all my resolve. I gathered up my resolve and I did it. Man, I tell you, I don't know if any of you here have gone through this yourselves, but you know, you get to the point where your body just gets so reliant on it that you almost fall apart when you stop it completely like I did. You know, I mean, I couldn't sleep. I had the trembles all the time. My mouth was always dry. I felt weak. I got into these horrible states of delirium, you know, and the weird thing was, it just kept getting worse and worse the longer I went. But my sponsor, and oh, thank God for him. I mean, he was my rock through this whole ordeal. He was there for me, you know, I mean, through all the muscle cramps and the heart palpitations, the nausea, the lightheadedness, everything like that. And I was talking to him, you know, 3-4 times a day sometimes. And just finally, I felt like I was going to hit rock bottom. You know, I called him. I was in desperation. You know, I wanted to cry. I couldn't cry. You know, and I just laid it all out to him. And he said the most amazing thing to me, the most incredible thing. He said to me, when they tell you to stop drinking, they're just referring to alcohol. I mean, did you ever, I mean, of all the people who had been encouraging me to stop drinking, not one freaking one of them used a noun. Hey, thanks a heap, guys, you know? Where were you last week when I woke up in the morning and coughed up chalk? So I started drinking again, you know? Everything's been fine ever since. Oh, including alcohol, too, because if I could give that up, right? Crazy. That's just way too much fun, you know? I don't know. I still kind of feel like I need to make some changes in my life. I don't know. Maybe I'll start wearing a hat, you know? Thank you.